Everybody on Twitch, welcome to the show. Everybody on YouTube getting going. It's going to be getting up and moving here in just a little bit. So stay tuned for more. Into the next several minutes, we'll have more on the forecast, and we'll talk more about what's going on with a lot of not good news from way up north. Climate change causing a lot of issues, especially into areas around the Arctic Circle with some unbelievably hot weather way up north. More on that coming up in just a little bit. I'm Chief Meteorologist Austin Onek. This is Weather Overtime for Friday, the 9th of August, and as we head into the rest of the month, we're looking at pretty hot temperatures, not blazing hot. We get a bit of a break. We also have some business going on in the central Atlantic that we need to be paying attention to. And of course, we'll talk more about some astronomical events coming up. If you've got any questions, drop them into the comments section on either YouTube or the stream chat function on Twitch. Be glad to answer whatever questions that we possibly can. Let me just make certain that all the audio is working properly here before we go too far. And I think that for tonight, we should be just about ready to go. So, okay, sounds good there. If you got, again, any questions, go ahead and say so in the chat function, and we'll keep an eye on that to make certain everybody's checking in. This is our video weather blog. We try to keep everybody updated with what's going on with weather. We try to give you an opportunity to ask questions in the comments section. If there's anything you'd like to know about regarding weather here or just in and around the area, or maybe you have a question about weather meteorology in general, email address at the lower section of the screen. That's aonek@wdef.com if you'd like to find out a little bit more there. And we'll talk more about the extended forecast and a lot of other stuff here in just a little bit. Let's take a look at the almanac page. 91, 10 degrees below record high that was last set back in 1980. And then also looking at 71, the normal, 74, the low temperature this morning. So 2 degrees above the high, 3 degrees above the normal low. 56, that was the record low temperature last set back in 1989. We are now officially 1 inch plus behind for the entire year or for the month on rainfall. For the year, in about a couple of days, we'll be 6 inches, about a half a foot behind on rain. We could definitely and desperately use some more, but it looks like that is going to be avoiding the area for a while to come. We don't have anything going on in the way of rainfall at this time. Some thunderstorms popping up well over to our east, the Carolinas, south of Athens, Georgia. Beyond that, there's really just not that much happening for tonight, as what is our latest cold front has moved through the area. Now, you're probably saying to yourself, okay, what cold front? There were no thunderstorms around the area. There was nothing showing up in the way of possible severe weather. Well, that's true. This was a fairly weak front, and it had a lot of dry air behind it. High pressure over the Great Plains pushing in some more of that dry air. That may escort in some more smoke into portions of the area, but it doesn't look like a lot going on at this time. Now, looking all the way back to the north and east of us, that up across portions of New England, that was Hurricane Debbie about a week or so ago, still wrapping up over parts of southeast Canada and New England. And as you can see with the wind arrows here, this is drawing in a lot of moisture right up the east coastal states. So plenty of rain from the Carolinas all the way up to just about southeast Canada. A lot less than what there was, is that dry air is now pushing that tropical moisture-laden air off the coast, and that is giving us some relief from the humidity. So definitely some good news for us shaping up. It's not going to be cooler. Wouldn't that be nice? But we are going to be seeing a bit of a reduction in the temperatures. The view from the top of Lookout Mountain on the Patriot Concrete camera, we're zoomed in on the crest of Lookout Mountain, and we've got the waxing crescent moon just above the top crest here. So we should be seeing moonset from our camera. We'll try to get a time lapse of this coming up a little bit later on. Lee Point looking off to the east and showing a decent amount of haze Few clouds here and there, but really just not seeing too much of anything going on. From downtown on the Bailey's Heating and Air camera, we do have, again, some haze, the crescent moon up there, and still seeing a decent amount of dust in the atmosphere and smoke and whatnot, but we're not getting too much of anything to show in the way of very heavy amounts of visibility problems. Traffic was a problem at 7524. Now it looks like everything is moving along pretty nicely from the Tomahawk crane and rigging camera at CHI Memorial Stadium. Chattanooga Zoo webcam, a beautiful sunset earlier tonight, and otherwise looking at less in the way of sunset. A little bit of dusty air, Erlanger Hospital down toward the corner there. And one last stop from the Chattanooga Theater Center on the North Shore, overlooking the Tennessee River and Coolidge Park. Decent amount of breeze earlier. The winds kind of settled down, but we did have some winds moving the trees around earlier. Still is 84 at the airport. Humidity dew point a little bit lower. Winds a little fresher, so it's not quite as oppressive with that moisture-rich atmosphere that we saw earlier. Now, granted, this isn't too much lower than what we saw yesterday, but it only takes a little bit of a difference to really help out with what it feels like across much of the area. Now, what are we looking for in the semi-near future? The smoke has mainly been taken care of, and it looks like we are not going to be seeing too much of anything around here in the way of major amounts of chances of rainfall anytime soon. Now, it is possible that we could see that coming up in the course of the next couple of days, but for right now, the 7-day forecast is calling for the potential of less in the way of rainfall anytime soon. So for right now, the potential is we're going to take that isolated chance of showers and thunderstorms out of the forecast. We'll see a better chance coming up as we go from Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday into next week. It's not much, but it is some. And notice the temperatures, again, into tomorrow. Normal for this time of the year, as you just saw on our almanac page, is about 91. So we're going to be on either side of that. And persistence forecasting is going to be sticking around for a while, back in the lower to mid 90s. There's a possibility after this, according to some of the medium range forecasts, that we're going to be heading back upwards on the temperatures into the mid 90s possible. We've had this very nice break where it comes to little, if anything, in the way of blazing hot temperatures, partially due to the passage of Debbie, but also due to that cold front. Looking back to the south, hotter conditions across the south central U.S., the Gulf Coast, and some of that's going to be moving our direction, but notice we are not getting as much as we possibly could in the way of blazing heat. A lot of hot weather, the Rio Grande, the Red River, southern Mississippi Valley, up into the Great Plains, but that it looks like it's going to take its own sweet time before it makes its way a little bit closer to us. So we should see some hot conditions, yes, but they're not going to be as bad as they possibly could be. All right, so Debbie is basically a memory at this time. There's really not that much left over. We are watching with a lot of interest this particular cell over the mid-Atlantic, halfway between South America and Africa. This one moving to the north-northwest. Last I checked, it was somewhere about 7 miles per hour, somewhere in there. And this is, yes, thousands of miles away from the United States. But this is the main thing to look at here. National Hurricane Center giving us now a 70% chance of this system developing in the next week. So as it moves into this particular area here, that is where we may see the potential of development as it approaches the Leeward Islands, back around Hispaniola, and eventually into the northern portions of the Caribbean. Now, does this mean it's a threat to the United States? Way too early to tell about that. Next week, we'll have a better idea as to what's going on, because it's going to take about that long to make it from here all the way over to, again, around portions of the Caribbean, the Bahamas, and there. The main thing we're posting this for is that as of right now, if you're traveling to anywhere involving ocean, beach territory, you want to watch very carefully with what is happening. This could become, within the next few days, a tropical depression, and if it goes over that very warm water, could be a tropical storm. And if it does, that could be our E storm, that could be Ernesto. So we'll watch this carefully through the weekend, but if you're heading to Florida, the Keys, the Gulf Coast, the East Coast, the Bahamas, anything like that, you have to be weather aware at this time of the year, and this could be the next system. Got a couple of waves making their way off across West Africa that we do need to keep an eye on here. That second one over portions of central northern Africa, right below the Sahara. That one looks particularly healthy, so we're going to have to watch that with a lot of interest. We do again see the potential of a lot of problems through later on. You might have been saying earlier, okay, we've heard all about this hurricane forecast, and yes, we seem to keep getting worse and worse news. Where are the storms? Well, they haven't happened yet. We've only just gotten into the season. It takes a while to ramp up to the midpoint of the season, which is September 10th. The latest update from NOAA issued yesterday is showing, again, way above normal chances for anything involving more storms, and also the accumulated cyclone energy, the energy that's available from the ocean surface that can feed these hurricanes, that is stored up in the ocean as basically potential energy, is expected to be way above normal, up to 245% of the median amount of energy in the ocean waters. So we have not hit the midpoint yet. We're still ramping up, and this still could be a very busy, if not catastrophic season, depending on what happens. So it is imperative to stay weather aware if you're heading to any of those areas. Now, the good news at this point in time is that, yes, we have little, if anything, happening. The bad news is, of course, the sea surface temperatures pushing 90 degrees in portions of the Gulf of Mexico. Anything over 80 degrees is where the moisture from the ocean surface goes aloft and helps to feed any storms that move into these particular areas. So that's what we have to watch out for. Now, farther north, where Debbie is heading, the water temperatures are in the 60s, and that's not great. The cooler conditions help to contract the moisture, drop it down toward the ocean surface. But down here, that is a much different story. This is really looking at some very ugly conditions. I wish we had some better news on what is going on when it comes to situations out into the world where it comes to climate change, but unfortunately things are really starting to not look good the more we go through into around the rest of summertime. Fort McPherson, Northwest Territories, northwestern Canada, above the Arctic Circle, hit a high temperature yesterday of 95 degrees. That was hotter than temperatures in Florida. That information from climate campaigner Mike Hudema, and the temperatures in Florida were just a fraction below, but it was still amazingly hotter in portions of the Yukon, in Alaska, the Northwest Territories, with that big blob of heat going on up there, than it was down here around Florida. And as the climate scientists at NOAA have been saying, this could not be happening without climate change stepping in to cause more problems. Add to that, and this video here, very incredible. Going to put this into motion and just let this sit here. You're looking at a camera of the Mendenhall Glacier outside of Juneau, with all those hot temperatures up there in British Columbia, the Northwest Territories, the Yukon, Alaska. That huge overheating going on up there has been melting. And this right here, if you notice the timestamp from the United States Geological Survey, it starts on the 4th and goes through the 8th. So all of this ice has been melting, and what is left over is not ice. It is basically just rock, the underside of those glaciers. All that water has swept down into Juneau, Alaska, causing flooding for the second year in a row. And again, from NOAAclimate.gov, experts said this types of floods in Juneau would not be possible without climate change. This is just absolutely incredible to see that glacier disappear, not in decades, not in years or months, but within days. That water sweeping out into the Pacific. This is really not good news, and this is why everybody needs to be updated on what climate change is and possibly can be doing in the semi-near future. So that is something we'll help you keep up to date with, so keep it tuned to News 12 there. All right, let's take a look at our weather picture of the day. Thank you very much, Doris Stockman from Bryant, Alabama. Beautiful view there, a few clouds out into the distance. Very pastoral scene. If you've got pictures, please drop them off to us at our website, wdef.com/photos. You can email them to us, or you can drop them to our social media pages for more. Please include, you can be anonymous if you want to, but please give us a description and or a location so we can tell everybody else what we are looking at right there instead of having to make something up, if you would be so kind on that. Into the weekend, again, outdoor activities. Doesn't look like anything in the way of rain or thunder anytime soon. Temperatures will be back in the lower 90s and lower amounts of humidity, but it still will be a little bit on the humid side, so not bad. Those winds also for outdoor activities could be a little bit on the breezy side, but at a time of the year where the temperature is rather hot, stirring the air around, especially when that air comes out of the north at about 5 to 10 miles per hour plus, that is where we could see some relief taking place. So it's not going to be quite as totally oppressive as what it was just a few days ago. So some very good news where that is concerned. We've got some good news at least out there. We have a long time coming in summer. I've got to do the autumn countdown clock at some point, really get that up and ready to go. All right, a shower of another type coming up this weekend as we finish the weekend and go into next week. One of the biggest meteor showers of the year peaks Sunday night into Monday. It's been going on since July 14th, and it ends around September 1st. The Perseid meteor shower, so named because the meteors seem to radiate out of the area and around the constellation of Perseus the hero. Northeast, Sunday night into Monday morning. You want to find a dark sky, nice beach chair, something that would enable you to sort of lean back, recline, and then that way you're just not sitting with your neck straight up. That way you can relax and watch the skies. Darker skies give you a better opportunity of seeing all sorts of things that you can't see with city lights. You might even be able to see parts of the galaxy across the sky. Dark sky sites are all over the place. You just have to be picky and move away from city lights. So good opportunity to see more about this. And again, hopefully the skies remain clear into this weekend. Likewise, hopefully the skies remain clear for August 10th. That's tomorrow, or today if you're watching this on Saturday. 8 to 11 p.m., Harrison Bay State Park. The Barnard Astronomical Society will be holding their latest star party where you get to show up totally free. Harrison Bay State Park in the Rec Hall parking area. Look through their binoculars, the telescopes, and see what you can see. There will be, again, that waxing crescent moon. Hopefully that won't drown out too much, but again, a good opportunity to get your kids, your grandkids, you interested in the science of astronomy if you'd like to take a look around and see more about what that looks like out there. All right, our weather poll of the day from our friendinroofing.com sponsor and from the National Lightning Safety Council. From 2014 to 2023, the United States averaged 16 lightning fatalities. How many have occurred for 2024 to date? 50% of you said 7, 25% of you said 27 and 47, and 0% said 77. Well, the correct answer is 7. So the majority of you got that right, and that's good news with all the information out there about being more safe where lightning is concerned. It's nice to see that trend. Hopefully we stay below normal for the rest of the year. Hopefully we don't have any more fatalities. So please remember, when thunder roars, go indoors. May sound like a stupid little poem, but if it saves people's lives, I'm all for it. And again, that's going to be one of the best things you can remember when it comes to outdoor lightning safety. We'll continue to update you on that, but please keep track of what's going on with the weather with News 12, and we'll keep you advised as to what's going on here. And thanking all of our sponsors, friendinroofing.com for WDEF.com/vote now. New poll goes up at midnight, so you can see more about what's happening there. That should do it for tonight. We've got some recording to do in the studio, so we're going to wrap things up here for just a little bit. Again, through the weekend, you can find out more details. Website at the bottom of your screen, WDEF.com/weather. Thanks to everybody for, again, keeping track of what's going on with the weather, and also, again, watching News 12 on air. Dave Staley will be in tonight with the newscast. Brian Armstrong has sports. I'll have weather, and we'll have more for you coming up throughout the weekend. And, of course, I'll be back on Monday with an update as to what's going on with weather across much of the area, so stay tuned for that. So, hopefully you've had a great week. Hopefully you have a great and safe weekend. Let's be careful out there. Live and direct from downtown Chattanooga, I'm Chief Meteorologist Austin Onick. Thanks for joining us for the Friday edition of Weather Overtime, our exclusive video weather blog, and we'll see you next week coming up Monday night. Stay tuned. Thanks for joining us on Weather Overtime for Friday, the 9th of August.